Big Pharma's not a fan of stem cell therapy because they can't put a patent on it. It's not a drug. It also helps people get out of pain and not need to rely on pain pills and pain shots.
How many cells are you getting from a donation, and then how many cells are being administered to a patient?
There's around 500 million stem cells in one umbilical cord. I know for a fact that in like our 2 ml vial, we're offering at least double, if not more. In some cases, I've seen as low as like 8 to 10 million stem cells in a 2 ml, which ours has 40.
Let's say I'm curious in this stem cell therapy. What are some green flags and maybe some red flags with other, businesses?
It all comes down to the quality of the product. Make sure that the lab that this tissue is coming from is legitimate. Are they third-party testing every single batch that they get to make sure that there's no inadequacies or contaminations?
Welcome to the HasMedia Podcast. We have a special guest today, a client and a friend, Nate Bailey, owner of NeoForum Wellness. And I am your co-host, owner Haas, and my brother,
Okan Haas.
Welcome, Nate Bailey.
Thanks.
I feel like we've
Good to
done
be
this.
Yeah, I feel like it's a deja vu.
Have we done this before? Just a few minutes ago.
Yeah. So, so let's just get right back into it. Basically, so the way that we start this podcast is we want to kind of dive deep into how you kind of started in your entrepreneurial journey, and then we'll kind of get into what NeoForum Wellness is all about. Is this your first business that you ever started, or have you had businesses in the past? Like, how'd you become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I had a few other businesses. Was in the insurance business for about 14 years. Started with Farmers Insurance for a couple of years, and then Country Financial for like 4, and then I decided to go independent. So opened my own independent insurance agency for probably about 7 years. Didn't really have any employees. It was just me. Technically it was a business, but 2018 I sold my insurance business and went full-time into coaching. Mm-hmm. So again, it was mainly a solopreneur journey. Definitely was a business. However, it wasn't really until we started NeoForum Wellness, basically the beginning of 2025, that I've owned and ran and co-founded a legitimate business, meaning, employees and contractors. I think we started, there were basically 5 or 6 of us in the beginning of January 2025, and I think we finished last year with like over 50 people in our company.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's fast growth.
Crazy.
Is that all like when you talk about like bringing revenue into a business and capital and everything? Is that self-put capital, or did you guys raise money? Yeah,
no, we started no money, no investor capital. We were kind of growing a sales company under another company in the stem cell industry. So that's how we got started in the stem cell world. And it was me and Grant and 2 other guys.
Gotcha.
And so, there was a team of 4 of us, right? So we were making some money from our sales guys, right? And one thing led to another. Decided to start NeoForum Wellness. That conversation came up probably midway through 2024. I was in the middle of a divorce, and so just the thought of even starting a company at that point, number one, it's a big task to take on. It's a big thought, and it wasn't one I was super excited about, but there were some things going on with the other company that we were a part of that we didn't necessarily like. And basically it was like, hey, I think we can do this better. And so we did. And launched really officially in January. We started the LLC and all that, and started some things, got things ready so that we could launch, last part of 2024. But we hired, it was the 4 of us, and we hired and I have a sales guy, so that's 5. And then we hired an executive assistant because we were going to need help on the back end. So it was really like the 6 of us to start. And it grew quickly.
Wow.
Yeah, why do you think it grew so fast? There's the stem cell
Well, I
business.
mean, the business model really, really works, and we're really helping people, right, get out of pain. And we have a great product, and you know, I think we had modest goals to start. You know, we were like, hey, if we can do $5 million in revenue by the end of the year, that'll be a big win. You know, we were like, maybe we'll get like at the beginning, we were like, let's not grow this too fast, and let's do it smart. But I don't know, things just took off really well, and you know, it grew into something a lot bigger than what we thought. We finished just under 10 million in revenue the first year, and ended up bringing on more what we call educational officers. That, you know, you guys were at a seminar that I did last night for Kyle Newell's gym,
and you crushed it.
And so that's what we do for people typically in a restaurant, right, every week. And then from there, you know, sign new patients up for stem cell therapy, right? And so, you know, I think we have like close to 20 educational officers doing dinners or getting trained up and ready to do dinners.
So the
in the field,
the educational officers are really kind of like a part of the marketing plan, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Trying to spread the word as much as possible.
Just, you know, we use direct mail, which a lot of people, when I tell them that, they're like, "What? No way."
It's powerful.
It's so powerful. It really does work. So if anyone tells you direct mail is dead, I'm sure, you know, potentially it depends on, you know, what you're doing and your target market. But, you know, we're dealing with a lot of like older population, 60, 70, 80 years old. They're the ones with a lot of joint pain, arthritis, inflammation, and I'm sure we'll get into why that is here in a little bit. But, you know, they also open their mail and they love to come for a free dinner, right? So
yeah,
it works out really well. And it did. It took off. You know, we basically doubled what the goal we would have been really happy with. And so we're not slowing down. I think we started in maybe 4 states. I think we finished the end of the year, we were in 16. We got big goals to get into maybe 30 states by the end of this year.
Wow.
And to essentially double our company.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
The second year.
When you're running a business, like how important is it to, because you just said you start with 6 people. How important is it for each person to have like a specific task, or is it everybody doing something the same?
Super important. Yeah. And we've learned that along the way pretty quickly. We made our first, like, I'll call our big hire. Every hire has been important, right? Because they all have a role, you know. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into, you know, running a dinner is one thing, right? We have educational officer coordinators that are essentially booking dinners for our educational officers. They're doing the restaurant research, the town research, making sure the mailers get out in time. When these educational officers go out, they get new patients, you know, now they got to get into our system, right? So somebody's got to be inputting all that information. We got to pay everybody, right?
Yeah.
But the first big hire was our COO, our Chief Operational Officer. And I think we hired him in June. Big as in, like, you know, you got to pay a COO, you know, a 6-figure salary. And it was just me and Grant kind of running the company, and we're also doing dinners because we didn't start with any capital, right? We had a little bit of money that we had made growing our sales organization to help, like, with website build and marketing material and whatever it takes to start a company, right? And pay the executive assistant that we had, like, as revenue started to come in. But after a while, as we continue to grow and bring more people, it's a lot to keep track of, especially when we're also still out in the field, so that we could pay ourselves, because we didn't want to take a lot of money from the company. So the way that we, you know, started off paying ourselves was really through doing dinners and as sales guys, basically. And, you know, eventually we were able to start taking a little bit of a draw as owners, but, you know, brought Floyd in. You know, not long after that, we hired a CFO, you know, part-time, and just, you know, you got to have MPs, nurse practitioners, to go out and provide the therapy in the home for our patients. And, our admin staff has continued to grow to help support the operations of the company. And so, yeah, it's a lot. But it's good. If you get the right people in place, I've learned that quickly, right? That's the most, to attract and hire good people.
Yeah.
And I can say we've done that. We've got incredible people in our company.
I think that makes such a big difference,
Yeah.
Like finding the right people. I feel like it's the hardest thing to do, but once you kind of find that person that sort of fits the culture and is more consistent than you are, then you're like, okay, I'm headed in the right direction.
I don't know, have you guys ever heard of EOS?
Yeah. We apply EOS.
Okay, so we hired an EOS consultant probably right in mid-year as well. Like, hey, all right, we were creating our own systems, but I have a good friend that has grown an incredible business in Tennessee, and he had been talking about EOS forever and level 10 meetings. He talked a lot about these level 10 meetings, right? So, and we'd been running meetings, but we didn't have any real structure to it. We were just kind of putting fires out, as they were coming up, and that was a big investment, but it's been a great investment. It really has, to have a consultant lead these in-person planning meetings and taking us through the EOS system and helping us to implement that fully into our company. Really has paid off for sure. We implemented EOS as well. What it helped us, really get to is getting to the root of the problem. And really figuring out, okay, this is the root, like how do we get there, and everything else is kind of noise. It's a great system, and you have to have a system, right? There's other systems out there. We gravitated towards that one just because, I'd heard a little bit about EOS and the book Traction and for years, and then, that led us down that path, really.
So do you, two questions I was going to ask you is, how important, how do you, what would you say to somebody trying to get their first hire? How did you guys implement that? What are you guys looking for? Is it a certain thing, I need to get somebody out of sales, or do I have to put somebody managerial to take me out of the day-to-day operation? What was that?
Yeah, what's the criteria, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, now obviously with EOS, creating core values and making sure that people align with those core values has been a big piece, of course. We've relied a lot on our personal network, and I know we were talking about what the journey was for me before we didn't realize that the podcast wasn't recording. But I was in the coaching industry for 6 years, and I ran into a lot of people in that time frame that now are a part of our company, right? And our COO, I went to this event back in 2016. It was called Seal Fit Kokoro. It was Mark Devine. It's his event. He was a former commander, Navy SEAL, and he created this event, I think originally basically for people that wanted to go through BUDS and become SEALs as a training program. If you can, because it simulates a small portion of what they go through for Hell Week. And then realized very shortly, I think after he started these Kokoro events, they're 2 days basically. I think ours was 52 hours.
Wow.
Straight through, no sleep.
That's crazy.
Just getting hammered for 52 hours. It was incredible experience. But one of the coaches there was, his name was Coach Tree. And his actual name is Floyd McClendon Jr. But met him, didn't really meet him, right? It's not the type of event where you go and introduce yourself to the coaches. It's pretty intense. But
why did they call him the Tree? Coach Tree?
It was just his call sign or his nickname in the SEAL teams.
Gotcha.
He's kind of built like a tree. And so I just remember being really impressed with him. I had a friend that went through a few of the other SEAL Fit events because they have Kokoro's their main big crucible, but they do a 12-hour, they do which is called, I think, 20X, and then they got 24-hour. But a friend of mine had done the 12-hour kind of to prepare and get a feel for what it would be like to go through the Kokoro event, which is a 2-day full one, right? And so he came back talking about this dude, Coach Tree, and he just had all these kind of cool, intimidating stories about him. So I kind of had heard about Coach Tree before going to Kokoro, and then he was one of the coaches there. And then one thing led to another, had him come out to speak to some of our coaching clients in Dallas a couple years later, and we just kind of became friends. And so as we started this, I was like, all right, when we get to the point where we need to hire a COO, like I was like, I want to hire Coach Tree or Floyd. And so that's what happened. And our CFO, she had owned a medical sales company for like 20 years, had brought that company public, I think a couple times, right? They brought it public and then ended up buying it back, maybe did it again, something like that. But she came through one of our women-only programs called Shield Maiden, like back in 2019-ish, 2020. And we went out and did some corporate training for her, like C-suite at that company. And then, I've made a few posts on Facebook here and there about hiring positions, just so kind of going back to the question, right? I've relied on my network. I have a pretty good network that I've built through coaching entrepreneurs. And I hadn't heard from her or talked to her in a couple of years, and she sent me a text and said, hey, I sold my company, saw you're looking for somebody. We started talking and ended up just hiring her on as our CFO, which she's got a ton of experience running a company. She was one of the owners, and maybe a year or two ago she sold her shares, and so she was looking for something to do, and we were looking just a perfect fit, right? She's been in the healthcare industry, not stem cells, but still there's a lot of things that align in the healthcare industry that you have to do and make sure that you're doing. And she had ran a company, they were a $20-25 million revenue generating company, which is where we want to get to. And so again, she definitely aligns with our values. So I think there's a lot to leaning into your network, because you already know those people. Yeah. You know what they're like, what their values are, and so that can be a great asset to lean into. We put postings on Indeed and things like that, and when it's somebody that you don't really know, which I think we're getting to that point where we're starting to bring in people that are kind of outside of our network. Yeah. And so just have a system in place to really make sure, right, with EOS, it's right seat, right place, or something like that.
Yeah, right seat, right person.
Right person. Yeah, I think I butchered it. And then there's like, what, do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity for it? Right. So, EOS provides a structure for that I think is pretty solid, and just trusting in that and trusting in your skills as a person to read people. And also, I think you're going to make a bad hire from time to time, or someone's going to put on when you get interviewed, you put on your best face, right? And then you don't really get to know who they really are until you start working with them. So we haven't really had too much of that, but a little bit here and there. We got to have some difficult conversations as an owner, and sometimes you got to let people go that might not be a great fit, and then go, replace them and find somebody that is, or somebody is a great fit, but they're maybe in the wrong seat. Can you create a new seat for them, right? Or do you have to let them go? That's kind of what happened with our first CFO. He was great, to be honest. But as the CFO for where we wanted to go ultimately, like, you kind of served us for a time, and Pua definitely has been the right fit for getting us to where we want to go. And we would have loved to create a new position for him. We kind of tried to, just didn't work out, right? And so, saying goodbye to, he was really he's a great, strong leader. He's a great man, great person, great values, but ultimately,
You're taking emotions aside and you're doing
what's
best
you have
for
to.
the company.
Yeah.
And why do you think, why do you think your stem cell company grew so fast relative to other stem cell companies. But what made you guys kind of stand out in growth?
Well, I think it helped us working for another company in the same industry, right? Same business model, and seeing how they did things. And I'm sure there's some things they did well that we took from them. And then there's, a good amount of things that we didn't necessarily like how they operated. And not to say it's good or bad, it's just didn't align with us necessarily. And so we were able to take those things that, we think we would do differently and in doing that, and it seems to have worked.
Do you think your network that you were explaining about before had a big, I guess, correlation to the growth of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Getting high level people and that can operate at a high level, can communicate really well, can help to create the culture you want to create, has been huge. Yeah,
having the same vision and everyone kind of running after it with that same mentality.
And our vision has gotten pretty big, and sometimes that has kind of scared some people away a little bit, because when you start to think about that, like, it's kind of like the thought I had about when Grant came to me and said, hey, we should start a company. I was like, I don't know that I really want to do that, right? And then you get into it, and once you do it, you're like, man, I'm so glad that we did it.
Right.
Not knowing what it was going to turn into or the success that you're going to have. But, for some people, sometimes we've learned you got to kind of be careful how much of your vision you share with people.
It's true.
Because it can overwhelm certain people, or before they even get into it, to see if it really is something that they can manage or not, right? Because I think just the thoughts that they can create around that can be too much. And they're like, man, I don't know if I want to be a part of that, which ultimately can be a good thing. If they don't want to be a part of that vision, then it's good for both parties to separate and find somebody that would fit that. So,
100%.
Yeah.
And do you think, I want to go back to you saying how you and your partner kind of started the business and having to take on the sales role to get some money in your pockets. I think that's something that's huge. Like when me and my brother first started, we were at our parents' house, and we had rooms across the hallway, and he's editing, I'm editing, we're going back and forth, and but we're in the thick of it, and but being able to understand the editing process, when we have editors come on and start working with us, there's a quality and a standard that we set, that we actually know how the business works, that we relay back to them. How important do you think that's in that part of the sales process?
It's really important, right, as owners, to know the process. And it's been interesting to see as the company's grown and having to step back a bit. Ultimately, we'd love to create a business where we don't have to be in the day-to-day at all, right?
Yeah.
Which is sometimes hard to let go of.
It's true.
But
because it's fun.
When you don't let go of it, then sometimes it can muddle up the process too, right? So sometimes we have some conversations with our COO of hey, thought you guys were gonna, sometimes you're kind of, do you want me to do this job or not? So it's tough. It's a learning curve, because it's kind of your baby, right?
Yeah.
But I think everyone, maybe not everyone, a lot of people that start a business ultimately would love to get to the point where they could have this business running and operating and working and growing,
right,
and you don't have to be a part of it.
Yeah,
I think, it's important to keep a pulse on the company, where it's going, and to keep that vision rolling, because it's our vision, not necessarily the people that we bring in, right? They buy into it. But so that's been an interesting process.
Awesome. Yeah, they say you build a business to work yourself out of the seats, essentially.
Yeah. And as a entrepreneur or a solopreneur, right, you're doing everything. But, we did everything starting the company and creating the processes. And so it is important for us to know what those processes are, and to have been able to do those things. And so when you're in conversation, I think it's also, in a way it can be good that we're still out in the field and And we're starting to scale ourselves out of that, not do as many dinners as, we're not out there every week running dinners, because that takes time away from growing the business as well. But ultimately getting to the point where, we don't have to do that any longer. And I think we're on the path for that and getting pretty close.
That's awesome,
amazing, man.
And I think it's a crazy story. So one half question, I guess, would be, did you guys, because I have another follow-up question for this, but did you guys have was it talk to your partner, start from that conversation on a year, or did you guys have pre-planning before you guys launched?
Oh, we definitely had pre-planning. Again, just creating the LLC and getting the web design and marketing materials and having everything in place in order to be able to go out and actually do a dinner and look like a legitimate company, and then kind of grow it from there, right? As we're creating systems and processes, making sure we're documenting those and creating some SOPs and it's always evolving. And I think if you've been in business before, you realize that there's always something to discuss and handle and issues, right? To talk through, have conversations about, reevaluate certain systems and processes. Right now we're getting to the point where, for most of the first year, or all of the first year really, everything's been kind of run and tracked through Google Sheets.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where you got 20 Google Sheets that you're trying to cross-reference, and that's just, it's a tedious system. And so we're getting to the point where we're looking into creating an operating system where everything's really streamlined and doesn't require so much work. Going back and forth between Google Sheets and having everything in one place. And again, I think that's just the evolution of a real company and real business.
Just needing internal data, CRM.
Having to really kind of create one.
Yeah. It seems like with business, it's kind of also a self-development.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest self-development things you can get into.
Totally.
And you've done 700-mile runs.
Yeah.
Is there any correlation to that? How those challenges helped you in business as well?
Yeah, I think so. Everything that you do hopefully can translate in some way to help you in other areas of your life, right? Running 100 miles is a journey, and it's not for the weak, and you run into many challenges through that. And mindset's a big piece of it. I would say it's probably more 80% mental than it is physical to start and to actually cross the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's to be able to put yourself in those difficult situations, to persevere through that and to finish, there's a lot to be said about that you can bring into what you do inside of your business. And I think there's people see you doing that, and here within the company, there might be a little bit of a level of respect that, hey, this guy's,
he's no joke.
He's done some hard things.
Yeah. What's the mentality that you go into those 100-mile races with? What do you tell yourself? What are the things you tell yourself? I feel because that's a lot of the stuff too when you're starting a business and you're not sure, right? It's kind of that same feeling. What are the kind of things that you tell yourself when doing something as challenging as, a 100-mile run?
Well, the first couple attempts I didn't finish, and you learn a lot about how to take those lessons into the next one. And then you just build on those experiences, and now the first one you've ever done, you don't really know what to expect, right?
Right.
You have no idea. You can try and talk to other people that have done it, but until you actually go out and do it, you don't how bad does your body hurt? What parts of the race can you expect certain body parts to hurt? How often should you take some Advil and Tylenol if that's something you're going to do to help with the pain and the swelling? How much water do you need to drink? What do you need to bring with you in case it rains or gets cold? From the gear to having a good support crew, because that's kind of part of a lot of these races is people there to help you through the race.
True.
And leaning on them. And so that's all of it. And then as you know, I finished my first one. I had one person with me and no pacers out there on the course with me to help kind of keep me company. And, you know, a lot of these races you can have a pacer and they can help you get through the race. And it does actually help quite a bit to have somebody out there. So yeah, and then once you finish one, then you know you can do it, right? And then as you get more and more into that world, like, it's just the mentality that once I start, like, I'm gonna finish, right? There's no quit. Like,
yeah.
You're just gonna keep going, unless, you know, I mean, if you get injured, which can happen, or something unforeseen happens, but the more you do it, the more you know what to expect and have a better idea of what could go wrong, and which prepares you to be able to, you know, be able to handle that when it happens. And business is no different, right? Things can be going great one day, and then all of a sudden it feels like the world's falling apart.
Yeah.
So, same type of thing, but same type of mental attitude. I think, you know, when you come in, when you toe up to the starting line, like, you know, having that mentality that, you know, I know I'm going to finish. Yeah. And kind of that same attitude in business, like, you know, not failing is not an option. Right. And we're going to figure out a solution and
because you can always pivot.
Keep moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like a huge part of how to build confidence. You're essentially building confidence. Yeah. You know, that's what it is, really. Yeah. You know, you do it once because you're saying, and you're like, wow, okay, I did it. Yeah. You know, that right there, that's confidence. You know, now I can do it again. Like, that's kind of, and you just keep moving forward, essentially, you know? Yeah. Once you kind of get that, it's like you have it's kind of addicting a little bit too, you know? Yeah. You get a little bit of a bug and you're like, all right, you got to do this again, you know? Yeah. Things are going too well now. Let me try and, you know, break through.
Yeah. These 100-mile runs, it's like, man, almost every time I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm not going to do this again. A couple days after, you quickly forget how hard it is, and you're like, oh, all right, I can do this again.
Are you doing Mount Washington with us?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's how I feel every year.
Yeah, do you?
I'm like, because we did it, I think this is the 4th one that we're doing this year, but every time we get to that mountain, I'm like, why did I start?
Yeah. Well, when you finish, it feels awesome, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
you're on top of the world. It feels like I always have an energy boost right after that, right after climbing that mountain, because you get down and it's like, damn, this is going to be the hardest thing I do all year. Yeah. Like, nothing matches to this. Right. It's like, it's a 10-hour freaking hike. Like,
yeah, makes everything else feel a little bit easier.
Yeah. And it's like, you're going through it not by yourself, you're going through it with a bunch of other guys, and there's just something to be said about that too. Yeah. And same thing in business. You know, you're not alone. You got a lot of people that you got to entrust in to do their job, and it's good to know that, like, you're not alone and you got people you can count on. You 100%. Don't have to do it all yourself.
Yeah. So the other follow-up question I was going to have is like, so with starting a business for you, like in 1 year, you guys go from 0 to 10 million, and it blow out expectations. Like, what are some key disciplines or traits that somebody like would need to have? Like, what are some things that you do on a daily basis to keep yourself on track as a like a high level entrepreneur?
I mean, I think it's really communication obviously is important, which the EOS and the level 10 meetings have really brought a lot of structure to that, and making sure that we're staying on top of what is going on in the company, and making sure that we're addressing what needs to be addressed, and shift and pivot and adapt. I mean, those are some of the biggest things, just, you know, especially I think our company is completely remote, right? So we're not like we're in an office together. So communication on a daily basis is really important. And so, you know, we try to do that, you know, from a department level, division level, or, you know, C-suite level, like daily little huddle calls and emails and level 10s and, you know, you name it. It's important to stay tied into your team and keep a pulse on everybody and where they're at mentally, and keep everybody happy, right? And create that culture where they want to be there, and they don't, you know, like, feel really good about who they're working for, and the direction that they're headed, like feel like we're really making a difference. You know, when you can create that inside of a company, I think that just helps the success.
100%. What's the vision of NeoForum?
We have a pretty big vision. I think we have like a 10-year vision to help serve over 10,000 patients, or 500,000 patients, excuse me.
Wow.
So we did a little over 900 in the first year. So
that's crazy.
That's, you know, we got a long ways to go. But, you know, and that's kind of crazy to say when you just finished your first year and you know, I don't want to say only, because 900 patients is a lot of people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
But to think that how are we going to get to 500,000, right? Mm-hmm. So really focusing in less on the money, but more on the impact and the people that we're serving.
I think as you guys like start to spread it from state to state, like, because I remember you were talking at the seminar last night, like cost goes down because of the volume that you guys are doing. The more and more volume that you guys do and the cost goes down, I feel like there's gonna be like new products and new ways to administer that comes out of it. You know what I mean? Is there any like high tech or new type of technology coming out with like administration or administering stem cells?
There's a number of different ways you can administer it, like through IV, through local injections, through nebulizers, the med spa world. You know, there's topical, like med spa. There's like micro needling for facials with exosomes. So there's P shots and O shots for like people's like sexual, I don't know what it is, arousal, or, you know, being able to perform or So I mean, there's that, which we haven't gotten into yet, but hair loss, you know, topical. There's creams out there. There's always, so there are different products that are kind of coming. There's patches for people with like wound care.
Wow.
So yeah, it is growing and evolving for sure. You know, there's opportunities to start clinics or like longevity labs, because biohacking and people wanting to live and as long as they can and be healthy as long as they can, right? So red light therapy or cryotherapy or hot cold therapy, you know, you name it, right?
Yeah.
Supplements, like there's a lot of different opportunities and avenues that we can go down. And I suppose part of that is being careful how quickly you jump into some of that when you got the thing that's really working, and not ignoring that, and trying to be as wise as possible about what else you want to, what other areas or paths you want to go down to, and hopefully that doesn't become a drain on your capital. And, you know, get you in trouble. From a company standpoint. So
I think it's super cool, because I think there's a study that came out recently that said that like Gen Z is not drinking, not doing any hard drugs, or like the rates of, you know, I guess quote unquote sins, right, is like going down like crazy. And they're focusing on health. So I think like we're getting into a market where just health in general, or health and wellness is like just getting started.
Oh, it's crazy when you look at like the projections for the health and wellness industry by 2030. Like, I don't even remember the number, but it's multi-billion-dollar. I want to say like $500 billion
that's crazy
industry. Yeah, because of that, and people are starting to care more and more about their health and their wellness, and again, just longevity really is the best word for that. Gotcha. So yeah, I think we're positioned really well to take advantage of that.
So I was going to say, so I would say like the average person that kind of thinks about stem cells, and I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday too, might have sort of like a bad, you know, impression on it or something. You know, they don't really understand it. Why do you think some people might think that way? And do you think there's some type of propaganda being pushed within stem cells, within the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just a massive lack of knowledge of what they are, what they do, how they can help people. You know, that it's even available for them, right? Our current healthcare system, it's really not. Like if you go to, you know, the doctor. They're not going to, there are some doctors out there that are a little bit more knowledgeable in stem cells and what they do. They don't have the ability to offer it, and they work for hospitals and have bosses and have certain protocol. And Big Pharma is not a fan of stem cell therapy because they can't put a patent on it. It's not a drug, and it also helps people get out of pain and not need to rely on pain pills and pain shots. And it actually addresses the root cause of their problem. And so, Big Pharma has a pretty good business model, right? You run out of pain pills, you refill them, you don't stop taking them.
Yep.
And stem cell therapy helps them to not have to need to rely as much on that. And, one of the misconceptions is, and it's the same thing I remembered when I first heard about stem cells, however long ago, right, probably early 90s, is that it was kind of put out there that they were using aborted baby tissue, which obviously would raise some ethical and moral issues, and which it did. And so that's all I remembered about stem cells.
Yeah, me too.
And
I remember
that was just something that was just always, people thought that just for no reason.
And we were talking about that last night too. Like, I remember growing up, whenever I heard about stem cells, it was just, for some reason, stem cells equaled illegal. And I don't know what it was. It wasn't because of the knowledge that you dropped yesterday about how stem cells are actually extracted and the donors and all that stuff, and we'll get into that. But I was just always thought stem cells were illegal. I don't know why.
And then I did my own research too, and I'm like, wow, this stuff is actually, really good, really good for the body. It's like an actual miracle. What it could do for you.
That's what they were created in our bodies to do, is to heal and regenerate, repair our bodies. And the fact that you can, use these from an umbilical cord to help you with chronic pain or degeneration, there's hundreds of use cases for these, and it really, the list is long, right? We don't necessarily focus on everything, but we focus on the areas where it really has a high level of success for people, which is really mainly joint degeneration, arthritis, inflammation, and some incredible, we've seen some incredible success stories for people with autoimmune conditions where they've just been dealing with this for years and years in many cases, and really with no light at the end of the tunnel or hope that it's going to get better, because when they keep going into what we call the wheel of healthcare, right? Once you get on that hamster wheel, it's hard to get off. And a lot of people, as they get older, they spend a ton of time in the doctor's room waiting for their doctor and to get prescribed some kind of a medication that's got all kinds of horrible side effects to it, right? You watch the end of a drug commercial, they have to share all of those potential side effects that
side effects might include
it's usually
blindness.
Or blindness.
And it's crazy. It's in 10x speed.
Right. Yeah. Or they make it sound funny. And it's not funny.
It's not funny at all.
And I can't believe that's legal in itself. The fact that they can speed up the side effect part, so people just miss that. Isn't I can't.
It's in super fine print, right? The last few seconds of the commercial, and but that's kind of where our healthcare system is. That's kind of how deep Big Pharma's got their hooks into our insurance companies and hospitals and doctors.
What was that stat that you were saying yesterday? I thought that was super interesting with the U.S. prescription with medication.
It's 82% of pain pills usage worldwide is here in the U.S. So we make up 5% of the world's population. We use 82% of the world's pain pills.
I can't believe that.
That's crazy stat.
I can't believe
it's so
that.
crazy.
We're all drug addicts.
But it really kind of shows you why you haven't heard about stem cells here, or because again, it really helps people get out of pain and not have to rely on Big Pharma any longer, and doesn't come with the nasty side effects, and the risk is super low, right? And it's an actual answer. It's an actual solution to the answer they've been looking for a really long time and didn't even realize was available here to them. And so that's been the amazing part, is really seeing the reviews and the success stories coming in about how we really are impacting people's lives.
Yeah, so it seems like all these big drug companies are really pushing stem cells to the side as much as possible. Trying to
it affects their pocketbooks.
Yeah,
and it has a huge potential to really massively affect their pocketbooks.
Yeah,
right?
And you only need to use stem cells once, right? You get it injected once, and then you wait 6 to 12 months, and you're already starting to feel some repairs.
Typically, and it really depends on what's going on for the person, right? Joint degeneration, one-time therapy, and if they get that regeneration, right, nothing is guaranteed in the medical world, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. But a good high percentage of people do get results from it, and I will always receive a IV of stem cells for the rest of my life every single year because of the benefits that it has to really kind of like remodulate my immune system and take care of anything that might be going on in my body that I don't even know yet, right?
Yeah.
That could be negative. So it's proactive in many cases. So I think there's a great case for people to receive an annual wellness IV, right? Just like they take vitamins and supplements. But yeah, if you're talking about like degeneration in a knee, there's so many factors that go into that and the potential reasons on why you would or not have success with that. It could be the severity of the condition or, their age and, how well do they eat, what types of foods are they putting into their body, do they drink and smoke a lot? Right. But if someone's serious about their health and a real possibility to keep their body parts and avoid surgeries and not have to rely on these pain pills that aren't good for us, don't solve a problem, and in some cases are super addictive and have ruined people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other thing I was looking at too, because we were talking about this last night, first of all, before I ask my question, how do you pronounce this? Is it mesenchymal? Mesenchymal?
Mesenchymal. I've heard it said a few different ways. I say mesenchymal.
Okay. Mesenchymal. Okay. So, just going with, I see a lot of people like pushing stem cells naturally.
Yeah.
And that's like been a big thing. A couple of the things I saw, like they got millions of views, and people saying that you can create stem cells naturally, which is true, right? But you were talking about the mesenchymal cell by age. So like as you're getting older, the one stem cell per how many cells in your body there's a wider and wider gap to it.
Right.
So if somebody's trying to increase their stem cells naturally, like what is that limit?
Well, I mean, you're all born with a certain amount of stem cells, right? I think what they're talking about is your stem cells will proliferate, divide, and multiply in your body over time. And so, when we're born, we have about one stem cell for every 10,000 cells in our body. We have trillions of cells in our body. And like a newborn, their proliferation rate is about once every 24 hours. And you get out to age around 30, the number of stem cells you have in your body is about 1 every 250,000 cells because they get used up over time. And the proliferation rate is closer to once every 48 hours. Well, if they double every day in a newborn, you'd have 1 billion cells after 30 days, right? If you double $1 for 30 days every day. You're going to have $1 billion, which would be nice, right?
Yeah.
If they're proliferating once every 48 hours, because think about these cells are now 30 years old. They're not as young and fresh. It's kind of like us, right? As we get older, we don't run as fast, we don't jump as high, right? Because our bodies are a little bit fatigued and tired, and we regress a little bit as we get older. Not a surprise to anybody. So the proliferation rate slows down from 24 to about every 48 hours. Well, that's instead of 1 billion cells after 30 days, that's 32,000 cells after 30. It's a huge difference. You come out to over the age of 60, 65, the proliferation rate goes from about every 24 hours to every 60 hours. Wow. Well, one cell doubling or proliferating every 60 hours at the end of a month, that's 200 cells, not a billion.
Wow.
And so, I mean, can you create an environment for your body to proliferate cells maybe a little bit faster by, I saw one guy talking about how you should drink your pee because there's millions of stem cells in that pee, and I know Kyle likes to drink his urine, but you know how many people do, right? And you know, there's some things that might be like, man, yeah, maybe there's some benefits there, but I'm not drinking my piss. And then, you know,
I think I'll pass on that one.
One was like just like through breathing, right? Like something hypoxia, he called it, where like deep, almost like a Wim Hof, right? Like that can help to create the environment where your stem cells will proliferate a little bit more than normal. Or, you know, I've seen some studies from Harvard where, like, if you fast, obviously Kyle, big on fasting, I fast myself, you're allowing your body to create an environment where those cells might proliferate a little bit more than normal. So, but if you're 60 and you're already in pain and have degeneration, will drinking your urine or doing Wim Hof or fasting really create the amount of proliferation you need to take care of that joint? No.
Probably not.
So could you do those things in conjunction with receiving millions of day zero stem cells in that joint and have much more success? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that we should probably talk more about, right? But, you know, what can you do to help the investment you're making into your body through the stem cell therapy to give you the best results? And we always give our patients a protocol. There's no way that we can, you know, look over their shoulder and make sure that they're doing what we're asking them to have the best results, right? And so that's why I say some people might have better success than others because they might be following that protocol to the T, and others really aren't changing any of their habits. They're not sleeping well, they're not getting out and moving a lot, they're eating junk, they're drinking every night or a couple times a week, or they're smoking regularly, right? All of those things are going to negatively affect the benefits that you might receive from this type of therapy.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's like, it's opened up my eyes to, you know, just like a whole nother meaning to health and wellness. And I think it's super cool because it's a proven thing that you guys have been doing. It's just been, you know, an industry that has been growing. I think we were talking about last night, like I had no idea that Superman or Christopher Reeve was one of the big advocates for it in the early days. And I remember we were talking like last night that, you know, South Park made like an episode of him, like, and I think that's where the propaganda came from. Was like,
I think so, a little bit of South Park.
Because like he would be like eating or like sucking down the fetuses and getting the stem cells.
They were playing off of that message that was put out in the early 90s when this type of therapy really got realized as, hey, this could be an incredible thing for people. Well, again, that's not a great. Big Pharma doesn't like that, right? They were the ones that helped to put that message out that, oh, this is from aborted tissue, that's unethical. And everybody remembered it. I remembered it. I still get that question to this day every now and then from people at the seminars, well, is this from aborted tissue? And the short answer is no, and it never has been, right? Never been legal to do that. And there are concerns there, obviously. And so all of this tissue is from live donated healthy birthing tissue. The mothers voluntarily are donating that tissue before they even go into the delivery room. They've decided, yep, I'm going to donate this tissue. The mothers get tested prior to delivery and also after, right? Just to make sure that they don't have any infectious diseases or anything that could essentially damage or contaminate those cells that would be used for therapy.
How many cells are you getting from a donation, and then how many cells are being administered to a patient?
Well, I heard somewhere that there's around 500 million stem cells in one umbilical cord.
Okay.
I need to verify that, but it makes sense. That sounds about right. Every lab is a little bit different, right, on the amount of stem cells that they will put in their vials. We as a company want our patients to have the best success. So I know for a fact that in like our 2 ml vial, we're offering at least double, if not more. In some cases, I've seen as low as like 8 to 10 million stem cells in a 2 ml, right? Which ours has 40. So it's a big investment for people. We really want to help them, and we want to see them have results. It helps them because we do care about our patients, and ultimately at the end of the day, it helps us to be able to serve more people. The more people we can help in a positive manner. So does it cost more to provide 40 million stem cells in a 2 ml as a company? Yeah, but I mean, you know, again, can I sleep better at night knowing that
Sure.
I'm doing the best that we can to give the most success to our patients? Yeah, absolutely. And not everything is about money.
Right. So let's say I'm someone who's got really bad neck pain, got really bad knee pain, maybe I'm aches, and I'm curious in this stem cell therapy. What are some green flags that let's say I want to do my own research, I want to get into? What are some green flags that I should be looking out for, and maybe some red flags with other businesses, maybe some red flags that they would be having?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it all comes down to the quality of the product, right? I mean, that's what's doing the job, and that's what's healing people. And so first and foremost, make sure that the lab that this tissue is coming from is legitimate, that follows a very high standard process of processing the tissue. Are they third-party testing every single batch that they get to make sure that there's no inadequacies or contaminations in that batch of stem cells? Do they try to be cheap and chintz on the equipment they use to process it? What's the cleanliness of the lab? Like, I've literally heard of a lab in Utah where the guys set up in basically one of those metal storage containers. And it has like, I mean, it just blows my mind that could be possible. Yeah. And I mean, that's just nuts. The lab that we use,
NeoForum Wellness,
yeah, I mean, if you come to our lab, like, you'll be blown away. It is state of the art, super clean. The owner of our lab, he took us on the tour once it was complete and finished out. He's got 2 separate labs, but one is specifically for stem cell labs because it's got bigger filters for just like the air. Because he's like, if you burp, sneeze, or fart, that can literally contaminate the quality of the cells.
Wow.
And so he's got like heavy-duty commercial industrial filters in that room. He says that the room is cleaner than a surgery room.
Wow.
And so not only does he send 10% of every batch that he processes to get third-party testing, but he also sends in there's some kind of a cartridge or a disc in the filters that he can send in, and so the air quality is also tested. And again, if the air quality comes back under a certain level, he'll throw the entire batch out.
Wow.
Even if, and his standards are above like what the FDA requires, right? So he just doesn't, he's full of integrity. He's a great man, and he wants to make sure that the product that he's putting out there is the best. There's something called a certificate of analysis. Every lab is supposed to send a certificate of analysis with each order of stem cells so that the actual patient can see the testing process, you can track that vial back to the mother, right? Like, all of that is in the certificate of analysis. The count of how many stem cells they're actually receiving in that vial, like, it's got all that information in it. And we know for a fact there's multiple labs out there that are not providing a certificate of analysis. We know that there's a number of labs, I shouldn't say a lot, there's a number of labs out there that aren't labs, but they're pretending to be, but they're wholesalers, and they're kind of making it look like they're a lab, but they're not. Gotcha. And there's a viability rate. That's the percentage of cells in a vial that are living cells. Obviously, you want the highest viability rate. You want 100% if you can get it, which I think is next to impossible. But with our lab, it's been third-party tested, and it's just under 97%, like 96.8%.
Wow.
And we've third-party tested some other labs' vials, and some of the lowest viability rates I've seen come back from these third-party labs that have tested it is like 8 and 25%. That means 8 to 25% of those cells are living cells.
Wow.
So they're literally throwing the patient's money out the window, essentially.
That's scary, man.
Super scary. So yeah, it really does matter who you're getting these cells from.
So out of 40 million stem cells administered, they're about, statistically with you guys, it's probably like around like 38 million are living cells.
Yeah, whatever 97% of that is. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That means you're getting you're getting your bang for your buck.
And we're already giving way more than a lot of other companies out there.
Yeah.
Again, because we want to make sure we give them the most possibility for success.
Is there a limit to how much that you can take or take in with stem cells? Like if I came to you and said I want 120 million stem cells injected into my body, is that possible? Or
yeah, that would totally be possible. There is something called the healing crisis, where whenever you do receive a large amount of stem cells in your body, healing crisis isn't a bad thing, but it means those cells are going to work to heal your body, and it can cause some discomfort for people for a few days, or maybe even up to a week. They might sometimes get like kind of some feverish like symptoms. So we have a protocol in our company. We'll only administer up to a certain level, and then if they have a lot of areas they want to address, which isn't super common, the average area addressed for our patients is probably closer to between 1 and 3 areas.
Okay.
Some people have a lot of issues going on, and they might have 6-7 different areas that they want to address, and so we might break that in half and do like 3 areas in the first visit, allow those cells to do their job for about 30 days, and help to avoid the healing crisis as much as possible, because it can be uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong, it's not like crazy painful for someone,
right,
but it can be uncomfortable for somebody, right? So we want to try to limit that as much as possible. So
absolutely,
we might, in that case, if there's like 6 or 7 areas, very rarely, but break it into maybe 2 different visits, and like cut it in half. So if it's 6, maybe we'll do 3 areas in the first visit, come back about a month later and do the other 3 to help just avoid that healing crisis as much as possible. So, I mean, I'm sure there's a number where it's probably like, we don't really run into that.
Yeah.
There isn't really a downside to getting too many stem cells in your body, but I'm sure there's a limit to it somewhere, but we're not coming close to that.
Yeah.
Can you like get an IV that like drips into your bloodstream, or is it more like into your tissue? Like how does that work?
The IV is, it's not dripped, but it is like a push IV.
Gotcha.
So, it's almost like an injection in a way, where they push it into the bloodstream.
Okay.
Not in a big drip bag. You can do the drip bag. Like some people will get a Myers cocktail, and then they'll put the stem cells into that, and it will drip in. So technically you can do it that way. And I've had that done before, but essentially, yeah, it's into the bloodstream, and then those cells will get sent wherever in your body that they're needed the most, right? If it's a joint-specific area, typically it's a local injection to the joint, because that's where the problem is, and we want to make sure those cells get to that area. And all of our joints are encapsulated, so the majority of those cells will stay in that joint cavity, which helps it to get that regeneration right where it's needed.
Right. Yeah, you said have been injected stem cells yourself. What are the main benefits that you see on a day-to-day life?
I mean, for me, yeah, I've had both my knees done. That was the first area. Those were the first areas that I addressed. We talked about running 100-mile races, right? Right. A lot of wear and tear. I'm kind of a big guy. If you go to one of these ultra marathon races, most people are not built like me, 6'3", for many of them I was 230, 240.
Wow.
Down around 220 now, which is still a lot of weight and impact on my joints. played college football. I was in the Army. I've been active all my life. And I started to notice probably after my second or third ultra that my knees just didn't feel right for probably months. Right. And so I received stem cells into my knees probably early 2024. And then I completed the Denali 135 in June of 2024. And my knees felt 100% healthy after a couple weeks, wow. Which was incredible. And then I actually just did the salt flats in May. And I want to say I felt better even quicker. But I had also had a few other IVs in between those, right? And so a lot of times with the IVs, will I feel better? Yeah, I'll feel better. I'll get a little better sleep. I'm not a person that's super sensitive. Like some people are super sensitive to a supplement, right, or a vitamin, and they take something and they're like, yeah, I can notice a difference. Mm-hmm. I've never really been that way. Mm-hmm. When you're doing a wellness IV, it's probably doing a lot more work and benefit to you and your body than most people really notice. Right. But that's kind of the purpose of wellness IV. You don't really have anything going on that you're pinpointing, but you just want to make sure that your body's in the order that it should be and operating the way that it should be. But I've had my hips done, same thing, running, wear and tear. Definitely noticed a difference in how my hips feel. They were just achy and sore, especially after running, and that really has gone away. So that was some good feedback for that. My elbow was kind of messed up from weightlifting. Yeah. Like I did some extensions and I could tell I pulled something, and then of course I didn't get it addressed and just hoped it was going to go away. And every time I would do that movement, like I could almost feel like some crunching, or like if I pushed too hard, it was going to kind of completely detach. Oof. And so I received stem cells in my elbow, and I would say within about a month and a half, like it was healed. Wow. So I mean, the healing process happens different for everybody, like we talked about earlier. But yeah, for that specific area, it was about a month and a half, and I haven't had any issues with my elbow since. Awesome. And I've received a ton of IVs. Like I got my chest tattooed in September of last year, and I have a full sleeve on my left arm that I got a couple years before that. Well, every time I would get a session done on my arm, if you've ever had a tattoo, you could probably relate to this. Like it would scab up pretty bad, and it would take a while to heal. And I got the chest done in like 2 days, it was like 16 hours total, which is a long time. Which most people don't sit for 16 hours in 2 days. But I just wanted to get it done, and we got it done. And even my tattoo artist, her name's Castro. She's awesome. She was the runner-up on Ink Masters.
Oh wow, yeah.
So. Yeah, sure. She's
pretty
legit.
Cool.
But she's like, hey,
up myself, you know.
Yeah, that's right. But she was like, hey, you've had a lot of trauma to your chest in 2 days. Like you might feel like you're kind of getting sick, because it's almost like the healing crisis that I talked about. Right. And I was like, all right. Well, the next day I was flying to Dallas for one of our EOS meetings, and I stayed with my business partner. Well, his wife is one of our NPs that does stem cell therapy, so they have a freezer. Cryogenic freezer, and we had some stem cells available. So I got an IV that next day, and my chest healed super quick. Didn't have any scabbing, and I felt way better too after it. So I mean, I definitely noticed the IV and the benefits there for the healing with that tattoo. So it helps
incredible. A lot with like inflammation, just like joint.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the main functions is to eliminate inflammation, and regrow, regenerate soft tissue in our joints. Yeah.
So with on the stem cells, there's something viral going around, right? People are always talking about this one thing. Like, what is Wharton's jelly?
It's a stem cell product. So Wharton's jelly is actually a gelatinous substance found in the umbilical cord. Okay. And it's named Wharton's jelly because in like 1860, Dr. Wharton discovered this material in the umbilical cord and realized that way back in 1860 that it could have some of these benefits. So that's what Wharton's jelly is, but it's stem cells, it's MSCs, right? but it's also got like cytokines and growth factors and amino acids and like all these other substances that are really powerful for helping with soft tissue regeneration.
Gotcha.
And so oftentimes Wharton's jelly is a great product, essentially we'll call it, for like joint regeneration.
And is that different than like administering like the 40 million stem cells? Is that coming from the
our
same
Wharton's
space?
jelly actually has 60 million MSCs in it,
Oh, wow.
not 40, which is pretty cool. And then
But is that
with many
product?
labs, Wharton's jelly typically you can't do as an IV because it's too thick, and it's got all this other substance in it. But again, the incredible part about our scientist in our lab is that he created a Wharton's jelly that can also be done intravenously. But yeah, that's what the Wharton's jelly is. So cord blood in the umbilical cord is just straight MSCs, or mesenchymal stem cells. The Wharton's jelly has the MSCs along with a lot of other powerful properties in it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's a stem cell product, but
it's different than like administering like the 40 million vial, right?
Yeah, that's just straight MSCs, which are very powerful as well. There's not really a lot of data out there, to be honest, to show that one's better than the other.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So what would be? So there's no data. So it's just like, I don't know.
Well, there's data out there, but it's just nothing showing that one is really all
better.
that much better.
Gotcha,
than the
gotcha,
other,
gotcha.
because they're both super powerful
Gotcha.
for the same things.
Yeah, there's a lot of also celebrities too.
Yeah, there's a ton of celebrities.
The more I look
more
into it, the more I look into it, the more I start realizing that, especially these high level athletes.
Yep.
Also, like, Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe Rogan talks about it all the time.
He had that shoulder tear.
Yeah.
And
he had a complete tear, and he said it. I'm careful to, like, number one, anything health related, you can't make any claims or guarantees, but
right, absolutely.
I mean, the fact that it happened for him means it can happen for somebody else. But yeah,
Sure.
He had a complete tear in his shoulder, his rotator cuff, and I think he said he got exosomes for that, which is just another stem cell derived product from the umbilical cord. And he said he got an MRI like 6 or 8 months later, and the tear was completely healed, basically reattached, which is super crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, because there's so many people out there that are suffering and have so much pain, and I'm sure there's so many people out there that don't even realize that stem cells is such a viable option, right? And being able to provide that for them and having that hope, I think it's such a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
what's the alternative? You go to a doctor, literally, it's going to be pain pills and pain shots, and ultimately a surgery, physical therapy, rehab, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some of the good ones will try to get you to change your habits and eating, but that's really hard to get people to do, and that's just kind of how our system is set up at this point, right? Surgery, not a ton of people want to go and have surgery. It's no fun. It's a long haul. It's a long recovery process. You got to deal with pain pills, or you got to deal with the pain if you don't want to take the pain pills, because I know plenty of people just don't want to. They know they have an addictive personality, and they don't even want to go down that road, right?
Yeah.
And so, this is just another alternative solution that can really actually heal and address the root cause and help many people to avoid surgeries and get back quality of life, get back their freedom, and not go through every day being constantly in pain.
I always thought about stem cells too, because I have a full tear on my PCL ligament.
Yeah.
Like, has there been any studies around like full tear, like ligaments like that to regrow? Or
again, I mean, I kind of, if it's a full tear, I would say most likely not, right?
Yeah.
Like, it happened for Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
My guess would be that it was pretty close to the time that he tore it, that he got Like if it's been some time, your ligaments will, it's probably curled up, right? Or something. And like, if you want to fix it, I know plenty of people that go without PCLs and they're fine. So you might be fine. But if you wanted to get it done, you'd probably have to, I would say, stem cells
put it
more than likely is not going to reattach that thing for you. Yeah.
So I have no luck, basically.
Yeah. It could definitely help strengthen that joint area, and I'm sure there's some scar tissue there. It can help to get rid of that. It can help with inflammation or arthritis that you very well might likely have in that area. So there's definitely still plenty of positives that you could get from it, but to say that it would reattach your PCL, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that.
Like after running the New York City Marathon, ever since, it's been like a couple years since I've done that, but I still wake up every morning with like a tight Achilles and like a tight neck.
Yeah.
Like that's probably something too that, and it's, I'll feel some aching here and there.
Yeah.
But it'll definitely help with something like that, right?
Yeah, potentially it could. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Depending on what's going on, and I'm sure you've tried to stretch it and do a bunch of things, right?
Which comes right back to it.
So, potentially it could, depending on what's, I'd have to ask a number of other questions and kind of try and figure out.
What do most patients, come to you, sort of complaining about with, what issues they have, or, what do you see often? Is it like knee pain?
The biggest things that we focus on, knees are the biggest, right? From the day you've been crawling around, walking, running, we put stress and pressure and wear and tear on our knees, right? Really all of our joints. So knees are super common.
Yeah.
A lot of people have knee pain or bone on bone, right? So joint degeneration, really to kind of sum up all of the different joints, right? Wearing down of the soft tissue in your joints just from use over the years. Arthritis and inflammation starts to come into those areas as we get older. Plus, one of the main reasons that stem cell therapy works so well and is needed so much, especially over the age of 50, is because that's around the time when the number of young, healthy stem cells in your body just isn't enough to keep up with your body's repair. And so that's why for the first 50 to 60 years, many have not had those issues or those problems, because they had enough young, healthy stem cells in their body to keep up with the repair. So when you receive this type of therapy over that age, when you start to have those issues, not only are you getting those millions and millions of day zero stem cells, they're called day zero stem cells or umbilical cord stem cells. They're there to do, again, the job that they did for you the first 50 to 60 years, but they'll also reprogram the current ones you have to proliferate more like younger. So when we were talking about the people that talk about, breathing exercises or fasting to help to proliferate or generate more stem cells in your body, these stem cells in this type of therapy will actually reprogram the current ones you still have to act more like younger stem cells, essentially to proliferate more like they did when they were younger, to speed up the proliferation rate.
How fast does that happen after an injection?
Everything's a process with stem cell therapy. Again, the timeline is different for everybody, because some people have had a lot of wear and tear on their bodies, and others have maybe done a good job of taking care of their bodies. Typically, if you're in a little bit more of a healthy state, you're probably going to receive benefits a little bit quicker. On average, we tell everybody we try to under-promise and over-deliver, right? Like, hey, it's going to take a good 4 to 6 weeks on average to remodulate your immune system, to help address and eliminate the inflammation in your body. The regeneration process, if it took you 20, 30, 40 years to wear down your tissue, the regeneration isn't going to happen overnight. Usually, actually, the regeneration process really doesn't start until about the first 6 to 8 weeks after you receive this type of therapy. And, it can take up to 12 months. I had a friend that actually went down to, I think, Panama or somebody in somewhere, Colombia maybe, and he had back pain. And he was like, I didn't really feel anything for like 6 months. And then all of a sudden, kind of like almost overnight, he realized one day that like, oh, wait a second, my back doesn't hurt anymore.
Wow.
And so it took time, and he wasn't super old. He was like in his 40s. And it took him a good 6 months before he got that kind of regeneration and that relief.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
I'm thinking I'm definitely going to need.
We tell everyone at least give it up to 12 months to get the full results.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely highly considering it.
Yeah,
at some point.
Absolutely.
You know, because I do have that pain.
Yeah.
And I know like over time it's just gonna.
Yeah, it tends not to get better. It tends to get worse, and people know that too.
And that scares me too.
Yeah.
You know, because I know it's like, all right.
Once you start to have issues, just avoiding it or ignoring it or hoping it's going to go away never works.
Yeah.
Right. Things get worse. Not
it makes
better.
you miss the times when you didn't have the pain.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
The other thing I was gonna, one more thing I was gonna ask you too is, what is PRP, and why do you call it the Timu of regenerative health?
So PRP, platelet-rich plasma, right, where they essentially take blood out of your body, they put it in I can't remember the word, a centrifuge, and spin it really quickly to kind of separate those platelets from the blood, and then put that back into let's say a knee that's got some issues, right? Mm-hmm. And it can have some regenerative properties. It has some anti-inflammation properties. It's typically something where they have to go back every couple months to get another injection of PRP. PRP can work really well in conjunction with stem cell therapy. But stem cell therapy is really addressing the root cause and doing the full regeneration. Platelet-rich plasma, I suppose you can have some stem cells in those platelets, but it's not like receiving 40 million stem cells into your body for the full regeneration. So it has worked for certain people in certain situations. I just did a post the other day, and I got a few comments. PRP was great for me. I'm like, that's awesome. But it's just, they're two different things, and they really have two different use cases, right? If you really want to address the root cause and get rid of it and get full regeneration, stem cell therapy 100% is the way to go. It's not something you're going to have to keep coming back to redo. And with PRP, the reason that more people come to PRP because it's way cheaper, it's covered by insurance often. Well, why is it covered by insurance? Like, let's ask that question.
True.
Because it doesn't work like stem cell therapy does, and they know you're going to keep coming back, and they're going to keep getting reimbursed for that type of procedure that they know that is a multi-use case, right? Mm-hmm. So I always ask questions like, if this is covered by our current healthcare system, we know that just over the years, no one trusts Big Pharma. They know there's a ton of side effects to it. They don't even hide that from us. Yeah. And we know that any type of pain pill or prescription medication can help you alleviate certain things or manage your life maybe a little bit better than if you were without it. Right. But they also know that it's not actually solving the problem. Right. You still have the condition, right?
You made me really come to terms with a customer cured is a customer lost. Yeah. So I think that really stuck with me as well. Yeah. You know,
I'm sure they don't like that.
They definitely don't like that.
It really is true.
Yeah, it's true. You know, it makes you see it too. Like, you know, when you start looking into it, it's like, oh wow, you only need to use stem cells once. You know, it's like, wow.
Yeah, and again, you know, there can be instances where, you know, maybe you do come back and get another treatment because it's not guaranteed, and there's so many variables to where maybe your body didn't respond to it as well, or you didn't follow the protocol that was recommended to you to give you the best use case, or
you're smoking and drinking.
Yeah, you eat super high sugary foods and processed foods, which again just takes a toll on your body system. So now these cells are going to have to fight that instead of the thing that you wanted it to repair.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, one more thing that before we wrap it up is I just want to because one of the stories that you were talking about yesterday, I thought made a big impact for a bunch of people. So one of the patients that you had, so we didn't highlight any patient results with your business, and I just want to be able to talk about some of one of the best examples of injecting stem cells, what it did, the 3-month IV that one of your patients did.
Yeah. So we have a patient that has had ulcerative colitis for over 12 years, and really tried everything, a lot of different steroids to help manage her ulcerative colitis, basically. And those come with their own set of problems. And really, there could be good moments in the 12 years that she's had, and then sometimes things just take a really bad turn for the worse, and she's, the symptoms are really high, and it's, so she was on that journey for 12 years in the current healthcare system, and really nothing that she had tried or her doctor had tried with her was giving her any sort of relief. And so she came to us through a good friend of mine that referred her, and I said, hey, I don't know how this is going to work for you, but this is what we could do to hopefully get you some results. Like, again, zero guarantees, and we're really not knowing, but there's been some data out there that could show that it could really be definitely a benefit. And if any level of benefit is going to be better than what you've gotten the last 12 years, so is it worth it? To me, if I was you, absolutely. What do I have to lose other than a little bit of money, right? But if it actually gives you some relief and some results, then that would be amazing. And so we just set her up on a protocol of like pretty good dosage of IVs, about 30 days in between, and we're continuing to do like a smaller dosage, essentially on like a 6 to 8 week, just to maintain the results that she's been having. But essentially after that third IV session, she had a colonoscopy, regularly scheduled colonoscopy appointment, and her levels of inflammation were within a normal range, which hadn't happened in 12 years, and essentially meant that her ulcerative colitis was in remission.
That's crazy.
Which is nuts.
That's insane.
And which is really incredible, actually.
Yeah.
But, that's what we're talking about. Is that going to be the same for every person with ulcerative colitis? No, not necessarily. But if it's possible for one person, is it potentially possible for somebody else? Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you see the stem cell industry headed? Where do you see kind of that industry going?
Well,
do you see it evolving at all?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll evolve just like anything, and I'm sure that the quality of the product across different labs hopefully will be more of a level playing field for people, right? I said this before we started the company. I was like, I really believe, do you remember on Instagram when everybody was taking ice baths every day? And it was like you couldn't open Instagram without seeing someone talking about how they, for the 400th day, have taken an ice bath, and it was just kind of viral, right? Yeah. And everybody was doing it. And I truly believe that stem cell therapy is going to be the next ice bath, basically. Like, eventually you're going to, and I've already started to see people sharing their experiences with stem cell therapy, sharing that they're receiving stem cell therapy, talking about it. Yeah. It's nowhere near hit that point where it did with cold baths. But I just think that one day your social media page is going to be filled with people talking about stem cell therapy. That's where I think it's going.
Do you think we'll ever be able to live forever off of that?
Like forever, ever?
I don't know.
No, I don't know. No, not necessarily, but who knows?
Because it's regenerative health, right? So it's like, does it help with like slowing down aging, you think?
Yeah, I think, a good litmus test is what I tell people is it's not going to make you look years younger necessarily, but can it give you better quality of life? I say, if this can make you feel like you were 8 to 10 years ago, was it worth it? And for a lot of people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s that are going through a lot of pain, it's well worth it. And can it help, if you're my age or your guys' age, and you were to get a wellness IV every year, what are the compounding effects of that as you get older? I don't really know for sure 100%, but I know it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. I'd be surprised to see eventually at some point where maybe they can, as technology starts to advance more and more, to see if they can pinpoint with stem cells and direct it towards a certain, you know, I don't know, like a certain body part, or if you're trying to get like healthier skin or whatever that use case might be for, you know?
I wouldn't be surprised, like, there's a type of cell called pluripotent. And there's a doctor out there that's found a way to take your stem cells out in the lab and essentially reprogram them to kind of do what you were talking about.
Oh, wow.
But there's kind of some ethical and moral issues with that,
yeah,
right?
Like living forever.
You're kind of redesigning these cells in a lab.
Yeah.
However, it sounds like there could be some really awesome benefits to that too. I just don't think there's enough out there quite yet for them to be like, yeah, let's go full blow with this, right? You know, I think he's tested it on like some lab rats and stuff like that, but and found some definite pretty cool benefits to that. So yeah, I mean, I think what we know now, we're still just getting started, just like we probably are with almost everything in the healthcare world, right? Sure. It's not like it's brand new. It's been around, for over 40 years, the regenerative medicine field, probably longer than that. Dr. Wharton, discovered Wharton's jelly in the 1860s.
Oh, wow.
So, and obviously it's not like stem cells are new from the age of man. We've had stem cells in our body. So it's not like it's new. As long as humans have been around, they've had stem cells.
Right.
That's what healed their bodies and does heal our bodies.
That's cool. Awesome. That's really cool.
Dude, this is a crazy industry. And obviously, like we just said, it's just getting started. I think people are caring about their health more and more.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how to, like, biohacking is such a huge thing now. And I can't wait to see like what comes out of it. Also, just what you guys are going to do in the next year. I mean, going from 0 to 10 million in your first year, and
almost
you're just
10.
getting almost 10.
Almost
All right,
10. Really close. Really close.
Just being able to do that in 1 year, it shows you that there's a demand out there in the market.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That doesn't happen by accident.
Also that the quality of your product.
Yeah.
It really does give people hope, and it does come down to the quality of the product, and we are more than fortunate for the relationship that we've created with our lab. They love us, we love them, and that partnership is locked in and solidified.
Yeah,
but it's like super important for what we do. I mean, we care about our patients, and having the best product out there. We really believe we have the best product out there. Again, we've third-party tested a lot of other labs to kind of know that. Do I know for a fact that there aren't other great quality products out there? I'm sure there are, but 97% or almost 97% viability it doesn't get much better than that.
So if someone is looking for, they're interested in stem cells, how could they reach out to you? What's that process like?
Yeah, I mean, easiest way, trying to build my social media following anyways. Come check me out on Instagram, the Stem Cell CEO. Obviously, you could go to our website, NeoForumWellness.com.
Awesome. We appreciate you having you on, Nate. Like, this was an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
We look forward to everything, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.